I asked him for a napkin because we were eating, and he handed me a roll of toilet paper.
What?
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Life and Vibes with Nnita. Today we're going to keep going into our self series, and we're going to start with self-love and self-worth. We're going to relate that to relationships and boundaries. Excuse me if I sound a little crazy, but the allergies are not playing with me, okay? So let's start with me. I've already told y'all all my business anyway, so why start now? Now, my last episode was about self-esteem and self-confidence. Now, if you haven't checked that out yet, you still have time to go back to my channel and click on it and watch it and get that information and that good sauce from that video. So after I gained my confidence, I still had to take the time to learn how to love myself and learn how to take what I deserve in certain areas. I realized that I was accepting less than what I deserved in many areas of relationships in my life, like relationships with men and relationships with my family and my relationships with my friends. So back into me telling my business, right? So when it came down to men, after my self-esteem and my self-confidence grew and all of that, I still had some problems with my relationships with men. Now, I had spent so much time not receiving the attention that I wanted from men or felt like I should get, that my friends were getting, that once I finally got that attention, I just held on to it. And I didn't even think about how they were treating me, how I should be treated, or anything like that. I had wanted that attention for so long that I just took whatever I could get. Relationships weren't about love for me at that time. They were about getting a feeling that I wanted for so long that I hadn't had. It didn't really matter to me at that time if it was real love or if I even knew what real love was, because I didn't fully love myself yet. But I wasn't necessarily concerned about that. What I was concerned about was the attention, was having a boyfriend, was having someone to date, having someone to call me and text me and everything like that, because I wasn't fully comfortable with being by myself. I knew in the back of my head that I should not be treated this way, that I should be treated a certain way, that I am worth having someone treat me a certain way. I knew all of that in the back of my head. I had been taught that as a child growing up. I even was teaching that to other people, but I wasn't practicing what I preached at all or what I was taught. I just was so enamored with having that attention that I literally just took what I could get. It was more about ignoring what I was taught and what I maybe was teaching others and just wanting that instant gratification. Eventually, I got to a point where I was like, wait a minute, what? This ain't it. This is not what I want. This is not what I'm worth. This is not what I deserve. Men were just there, but I wasn't connected to them. I wasn't feeling anything. They were just there. Y'all, I even dated this guy one time that was cheap and a know-it-all. And I'm not even talking about like materialistic sense of cheapness. No, like he was just plain cheap. I mean, I once asked him for a napkin and he handed me a roll of toilet paper. Like, we were at his house hanging out and I asked him for a napkin because we were eating and he handed me a roll of toilet paper. Now, I know people say I'm a little bit bougie, but I mean, that's your first line of defense is a roll of toilet paper for your napkin? Maybe that's just me, but that's not what I'm worth. I'm worth a napkin, okay? I'm worth a paper towel, okay? I'm even worth you giving me a towel out the closet and letting me hand it that. But a roll of toilet paper, that is a last resort. That is not a first line of defense. And y'all, that wasn't even the first instance, nor was it the last. Also, he kept trying to tell me how to live my life, what I should be doing with my life, how I should be working my job, how I should go about my life. You don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me my life. But that's me, Nnita talking. That's me now. That's 2021 Nnita talking. I don't even remember what year that was, but that Nnita was like, oh my gosh, but he likes me though, and that's really great because I don't really have a lot of guys that like me, so I'm gonna just go with it. But one day, I smartened up and realized, toilet paper? Toilet paper? Anyway, moving on. That was just a little taste of the type of things I was accepting from men. And that's not even the half of it. That's just what I'm going to discuss. And I finally got to a place where I realized that I'm worth more than that. So things have changed now, but that's where I was at that time. I had friends that I would tell about what I was having with my boyfriend or whoever I was dating at the time, and I would tell them what was going on. And I had friends that were like yelling at me, like, you don't deserve this, you need to let this person go, it's not it, you need to let it go. And I kept going, I kept staying, I stayed just because I was just happy to be there. That's essentially what it was. I was just happy to be in the place. Now, I just want to point out that I'm specifically talking about my experiences, so I am talking about men because that's my preference. But this goes for any type of relationship when it comes down to self-love and self-worth and what you deserve, no matter what sex it is, no matter what your preference is. So moving on to family and friends. Now with family and friends, it wasn't so much as being mistreated. It was more of me not speaking up for myself and standing up for myself in my friendships and relationships with people in my family, and pouring into a person and doing a lot for people that I wasn't getting any type of reciprocation back. I wasn't getting any, it was like a 80-20 relationship. Like, I'm doing all of this for that person, I'm pouring into that person all the time, or these people all the time, and helping these my friends that I had at the time, these people a lot. And it wasn't a two-way street, it was an 80-20 situation. And it took me, it takes a while to realize that, but I realized that's what was happening at that time. And I didn't have like any peace within myself, or my peace, because I wasn't getting what I wanted out of the friendship, out of the relationship with my family members, out of those relationships, because I wasn't speaking up for myself, and I was just expecting that those people, I'm sorry, I told you the allergies, that those people would just automatically treat me the same way that I'm treating them, but it wasn't necessarily happening. And I could have just spoke up for myself, and I wasn't doing that. Understand that any good relationship has boundaries. I did some things to check myself and get myself together so I can get myself on the right path when it comes down to my relationships. And that's where my tips come in. I'm really looking to find out a word to call my tips. So if you got a creative mind and you could think of something for me, something cute for me to call my tips, put it in the comments so I can change it. Tip 1, protect your peace. This goes back into self-care. Now, my first video is about self-care. And if you haven't seen that one, you can go on back and look at that one too and get you some good sauce on how to do self-care. The first step to protecting your peace is doing self-care. Don't forget, relationships take work. So you have to remember that you're putting in work to relationships, so you need to also protect yourself and do your self-care and take time for yourself as well. And that's all relationships. That's relationships with your significant other, your mom, your cousins, your friends, all of that. All relationships take work. And the best way to take care of yourself in a relationship is to remember your self-care. Tip 2, stop, reflect, and reevaluate. This means take time to reflect on your relationships. Ask yourself some questions. Is this relationship serving me? Is this relationship serving me? Am I doing more than I'm getting from this relationship? Am I accepting less than what I'm worth? Am I accepting less than I would expect from another relationship? Really sit down and reflect on your relationships and reevaluate. You can even write down, go and make a list and write down the positives and the negatives of the relationship and see if, in your opinion and how you feel, if the negatives outweigh the positives. Tip 3, last tip, act. Act. This is a big one. It's time to start doing things about these relationships. Manage them. How do we manage them, you ask me? I can't tell you what to do with your relationships. I can only give you a little bit of a guide to kind of help you figure out what you want to do. Don't forget, you are protecting your peace. So that may mean that these changes might be hard for you. It's not going to be easy and you may slip up, but you have to remember that you need to protect yourself. Now, this doesn't mean that you cut off every relationship that you reflected on and you just cut everybody out your life and you're done. It doesn't mean that you cut everybody off. You have to put them in a different place in your life. Think of it as if you were changing your diet, right? So you know that sugar is not very good for you, so you want to change that. Now, that doesn't mean that you can never have sugar again. Like, that's not realistic. But it does mean that you change the way that you eat sugar. You manage your intake of sugar. It's the same way. You realize that you don't need this relationship to be in the same place that it was before. Doesn't mean you have to never talk to this person again, but it means that you manage the way you deal with this person or where this person is in your life. Now, sometimes you may do this process and realize that you do need to completely cut somebody off. And that's okay. It's okay to end relationships to protect yourself. I want to point out that you can have empathy for someone and understand what they're going through, but that doesn't mean you have to accept the mistreatment that comes along with it. Protect your peace. Having empathy for others doesn't mean that you leave yourself open to get hurt. You have to realize your own responsibility in your relationships. You understand that that person is going through things and may have trauma that they're trying to filter through or whatever. But you have the power to change your relationship, manage it, or put it wherever that you want it to be. So you have a responsibility to protect yourself. And if you realize that that person is too hurt to treat you properly and you don't do anything about it, you have now set yourself up to be hurt because you know what's going on. You have the power to change your relationships and manage them in a way that you are being benefited. That's a word. Is it? That you have benefits and are a benefit to them. Even with your family. Just because they are your family doesn't mean they have to hold the same position in your life as the rest of your family members do. You can love your family and love your family members and still not put them in the same positions in your life. If you know your aunt, if you couldn't hear that right the first time, is going through a lot and it's just really awful to you, you don't have to keep talking to her. You can respect her. You can say hey to her at family functions, But that doesn't mean you have to talk to her outside of family functions or do things for her just for her to hurt you. That's a misconception of family. I do really want y'all to understand. I'm not saying cut everybody off in your life that's ever done something to you that you did not like. You can manage these relationships differently and put people at different positions in your life. And that position may only be for a certain amount of time. You know that so-and-so is going through a whole lot right now, and because they're going through so much and they have all of this going on, they're not being a good friend at all. You can place that person in a different position in your life until they get themselves together or go to therapy or whatever that means. And when you talk to them and you realize that they are evolved and they are better, you can put them in another place. And it doesn't mean you're being wish-washy or you're fake or anything like that. I just want to reiterate, this is not a video of me telling you to cut everybody off in your life. Do not go tell anybody that Nnita said cut everybody off that you don't like, or that didn't do something that you don't like, that did something that you didn't like. Don't you tell nobody I told you that, because I didn't tell you that. I told you to manage these people and these places and these relationships, put people in different places of your life. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Everybody does not go into that lifetime category. Some people are only here for their season. Those are my tips for protecting yourself, managing your relationships, and finding your self-worth. Don't forget what you deserve in life. Thank you for watching Life and Vibes today. Don't forget, comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. It's gonna be amazing. Put in the comments what you want to see. Tell me what you want me to talk about, and I will talk about it. Even if there's other videos you want to see from me, let me know. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank you for vibing.